Utilitarianism is a consequentialist theory that states that the best action is the one that brings about the greatest balance of happiness over unhappiness, when every person's happiness is considered equally. So basically, this theory is saying that the morality of an action is based off of how much happiness that is produced from that action. There are many main points to this theory. There's 4 main points to this theory. The first point is that the moral status, so if it's good or if it's bad, is produced by the consequences of the action that you did. Next, the second main point is that consequences, so the consequences are based off the actions that are performed, and the consequences of the actions are measured by the amount of happiness or unhappiness that is produced from this action. The next main point is that, the action is considered moral or immoral based off of how much happiness compared to unhappiness is produced. So if there's more happiness produced compared to unhappiness, then this is considered a moral action, and vice versa. So if there is more unhappiness produced from this action, then there is less happiness, then this action is considered immoral. And lastly, the moral worth is, so like how good or how bad the action is the moral worth. And the moral worth is based off of the hedonic calculator. So Jeremy Bentham he believed that happiness or pleasure could be measured on a scale, like you could give numbers to it. And so it's almost like when we do a pros and cons list. So when I perform a good action that has good consequences, so I'm happy, then I would add points, or I would add like a number, like plus 100. But then if I were to do a bad action that made me unhappy and had negative consequences, then you would subtract. However, there is an objection to this, because the hedonic calculator, Bentham never specified the scale or how many, what the scale went to, if it was 5 or to 100 or to 1,000. He never specified. So that is one of the downfalls of utilitarianism, because it is measured with the hedonic calculator. And somebody could respond to this objection by saying that, well, everybody's happiness is different, because for utilitarianism, it measures happiness based off of each person, and everybody's happiness is different. So somebody could argue that, well, you can't set a specific number on the scale for the hedonic calculator because everybody's happiness is measured differently. Another downfall to this theory is that there's the problem of justice. So utilitarianism never really mentions justice or like honesty or anything really besides happiness in its definition. But I argue that people can get happiness through performing justice. So like, for example, doctors or nurses pick their career based off of, people could pick their career based off what makes them happy. And so a doctor or a nurse, they pick their career because they get happiness from helping other people. And so, when you're helping other people, it's just and it's morally good. So I think that there is pros and cons to utilitarianism. And I think that maybe in the definition, you could add happiness to oneself and to others in the definition.